It's Good Friday. It's April 3rd, 2026. The market has closed, but it was a strong finish to the day for NIO stock yesterday on Holy Thursday. So I wanted to come back and talk about that and the short-term stock price action. I remain bullish on this. And if we just look at year to date for NIO, this is January 2nd over here on the left-hand side of the screen. We had low volume. We've continued to see low volume, and yet big volume days on just the two times that NIO teased profitability and then actually reported profitability from their fourth quarter. We saw nice moves up on that big volume. But with low volume remaining in play, NIO stock actually finished the day almost at its high point for the year to date yesterday. The close was $6.30. The high of that day was also $6.30. The day previous, we saw a high of 636, but the close was at 620. And so coming back to this day, this is what I was watching here in this last week with the high at 621 previously and a close at $6.03. We're clearly above that at this stage and at this point. Now, will we stay there? That's a great question, and I don't have the answer. Also, we've got to, and I keep tracking the SPY quietly in the background because although NIO is outperforming the SPY year to date, if we see more volatility and the SPY drops, what will NIO stock do? I don't know, but I'm going to keep tracking it. The trade volume remains the easiest daily indicator for me. And with just the 2 days, as I stated, during the day with 100 million share trade volume, we've still got a ways to go for sentiment to fully shift. And then there's this, the FTD data. I'm going to zoom out so we can see full screen on this. And so this was NIO, and I look at this as kind of three different time frames with the big picture overview take on this. We've got NIO stock, the early years with the US listing. The meteoric rise of the move up for NIO came in about a 6-month window where there were 75 days, trade days with intraday 100 million shares traded for NIO stock. And as we later saw the volume drop off, and you can see the FTDs dropped off when the volume was spiking, probably a short squeeze. And perhaps I would say it's fair to assume that a lot of people thought and maybe still think NIO is a meme stock. So I think we've got a ways to go actually on the full-on sentiment shift and folks recognizing this is an IDE, an innovative driven enterprise that is about to shock the world. But I think we've still got a ways to go with market awareness, brand awareness, and a long ways for all three brands to be known outside of China. So this was the big and exciting move that NIO stock made with FTDs dropping off and big volume. Once the volume kind of dried up and we saw the FTDs emerge, we see this slow drawdown over these last years. And so with FTDs continuing to be elevated here in the recent term and low volume, I would have expected NIO stock to stay lower, frankly, and not outperform the SPY at least year to date. So again, this is a nod to why I'm still very bullish in the short term, even with respect to NIO stock and the stock price action. Here's the other one. If we look at the sentiment gauge, and every once in a while we'll pull this up, this dates back to the September 2020 timeframe. And this is just NIO Reddit mentions. It's one simple indicator, but this would have been consistent with that big move up for the stock price. And this would also have been probably when NIO is being viewed as and moving with meme stocks. So with so few references and mentions of NIO, even in the recent term, we haven't even gone to 100 mentions, much less to this 500 mark. So I think sentiment still has a long way to shift and go. I think those of us who are long and have been, in research mode and studying things recognize that for a lot of folks, this is still an unknown company. So I think the rest of the year is going to be a lot of fun to track and see what happens. Congratulations to NIO. This is the post from William Lee about the 90,000th ES8, the refresh. And this was just 14 days after the 80,000th delivery. So NIO continues to really excel with this. And the price point and the margins are very strong. So I'm excited to see if they can continue this pace and also what the ES9 is going to look like, because that thing, man, I saw a video. I didn't pull the clip for this video, but man, it looks clean. So I'm excited about that. Those, I believe, deliveries are set to start in June. But this is a cool and fun share from CNEV Home. So I wanted to offer this and share this so that you can kind of see the trajectory and just how well adopted this vehicle is in China. I think this is a big piece of NIO being recognized as premium. Also, I think this is important to nod and recognize, and that's the Onvo L90 with 50,000 cumulative deliveries in less than a year. And if we think in terms of, and I'll offer it, I'll link it here if you haven't seen it, the rural model, I think, is a really important piece for NIO with the sub-brands Onvo and Firefly in the Chinese market. I think that's what is going to really put those brands on the map for people to recognize that the NIO DNA is in these other brands, and these are much more affordable brands. And so they're competing against a lot more competition. And that's why I think the brand awareness, the market awareness, and folks throughout China becoming more aware that Onvo and Firefly are linked to NIO and have that NIO DNA, I think that's really important. So that rural model will remain on my radar for at least this year and probably into next year as well, to see how NIO and these sub-brands will do in the lower tier cities. This is also an announcement basically for the Onvo L90. This would be the refresh, launched on April 21st. And I don't know if they're going to start deliveries right away. I'm not sure on that. So sorry, I didn't have that part queued up. But moving right along, NIO continues to do refresh. And so you've got the upgraded or the refresh 2026 ET5 and ET5 Touring. Also, the 2026 NIO ES6 and EC6. So those are both announced and launched. And I'm curious to hear from you, whether it's on the stock price, whether it's on the rest of the year, whatever you're thinking with respect to NIO and the stock price. And let's say compared to the rest of the market, I'm very curious what that's going to look like. And if the SPY has more volatility and especially to the downside, will NIO continue to quietly be resilient and maintain its price point above $6, let's say, and will it continue to slowly move up? Let's look at this one more time, because I do want to point out and mention, and this is actually for me too, because I didn't look that closely at the volume dating back to when they actually had, when they reported their earnings. You had a day following that of 78 million shares traded during the day, approximately 57 million, 58 million, 65 million, 35 million, 27 million, 30 million, 52 million, 49 million, 24 million, 28 million, 36 million, about 37 million, 44 million, 75, almost 76 million, 53 million, and 34 million. This is very low volume to me. I think we'll see sentiment shift when it happens. I think it'll be represented pretty easy for us to see in the trade volume increasing on the day-to-day side of things. So I remain bullish with NIO stock, even in the short term, just because of all these things that I've been sharing. Final thought, I'm going to share the Aaronism from today. Interior peace, that is where true wealth building begins. There's your Aaronism for this Good Friday. I'll create chapters or timestamps, especially since this was a slightly longer video than what I typically or recently have been doing. But maybe not recently. I know I've had some longer videos. Anyway, sorry. I don't need to go off on some Aaron tangent. So let me get this video up and out as soon as possible. Have a blessed weekend. We'll see y'all again very soon.